The electric type has always been one of my favorite typings in the Pokemon world, and Generation 9 brought along a couple of new electric types that grew on me, like Palmot and Kilowattrel. However, there's some veteran electric types that still get me going, like Electivire, Luxray, Raichu, and Rotom. Vigavolt, Toxtricity, and Magnezone are other favorite electric types of mine. And now I'm going to try to beat Pokemon Violet using only electric types. Even though this is not a hardcore Nuzlocke, I'm going to try to make it as fun for me, the player, and interesting for you, the viewer. And here are the ground rules that I set in place. Number 1, I will only use electric type Pokemon, and that includes Pokemon that has electric as its secondary typing, not wild Pokemon with the electric Terra type that is not an electric type already. Secondly, I will abide by the obedience threshold level cap, which starts at 20 and maxes out at 100 after you defeat 8 gyms, but I will still freeze it at level 75 for the final boss after defeating the 8th gym. And third, I will be installing this Nuzlocke rule. If any of the Pokemon faints during an important battle, they are permanently boxed and will never be used again. So with that out of the way, my Pokemon Electric Company is open for business. I decided to go with the female avatar again for my 5th playthrough of Pokemon Violet, as I tried to make it as good as possible to look like the biggest fan of a certain gym leader in Paldea. I step out of my Cabo Poco home once again, eager to start a brand new journey. As we all know by now, none of the Paldea starters gain electric as a secondary typing by its final evolution, but I decided to go with the first starter I chose in my inaugural playthrough of this game, Sprigatito. My actual starter for this Pokemon Violet Electric only run just so happens to be close by, a Pawmi. This lovable creature rapidly became one of my top 3 favorite Pikachu clones in the Pokemon world. And after catching this Pawmi, I now can officially begin my electric-only run through Paldea. This Pawmi I nicknamed after my favorite baseball team who just won the World Series, the Los Angeles Dodgers, coming with the special defense boosting sassy nature and the static ability. The ultimate electric type in Pokemon Violet just so happens to be the box legendary Miraidon. Even though we can't battle with it, it is still one of the best Pokemon that ever came out of the Paldea region. And after feeding this weakened Miraidon a sandwich, a new partnership began. Miraidon also guided me through the Inlet Grotto and saved me from a tough spot when I was surrounded by angry wild Houndour. After that close scare, I now was able to enroll safely in the Uva Academy, and as the days quickly flew by, it was once again time to begin another treasure hunt. Miraidon, Pawmi, and I were ready to get things going. But Pawmi wasn't going to do this alone. I decided to hatch 4 eggs of electric types that are Indigo Disc exclusives. Starting with this egg hatch for Blitzel, which I nicknamed after the New York Yankees. I think you're going to detect the theme here once I tell you I'm now hatching an egg for Elekid, nicknamed after the San Diego Padres. An egg for Hisuian Voltorb, nicknamed after the Houston Astros, and another egg for Chinchou, nicknamed after the Chicago White Sox. I now decided to head out to the east gate of Mesagoza, where I searched for my next partner, an Eevee. I nicknamed this Eevee after one of my favorite YouTube gaming streamers, Eevee Queen, evolving this Eevee with a Thunderstone to Jolteon. And going back to Los Platos, I found the Pom-Pom style Oricorio. As always in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, my badge collection starts in the city of Cortundo, taking on Gym Leader Katie and her bug types. For this battle, I decided to get a little bit creative using Chinchou against her lead Pokemon Nimble, first by paralyzing the bug, using Thunder Wave on turn 1, then dousing Nimble with water using Soak, which now makes any Pokemon hit with Soak vulnerable to electric-type attacks. Nimble attacked with Struggle Bug to lower the special attack of Chinchou by a stage, which meant 2 Electro Balls were needed to get rid of Nimble. For Katie's next Pokemon, Tarantula, it was the classic case of lather, rinse, and repeat, as I did the same tactic that I used on Nimble to score a second win for Chinchou. However, this was not going to be a clean sweep for the Psyshocks, as I decided to sub out Chinchou in favor of the Cowboys. That's right, the electric form of Oricorio, nicknamed after the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, as one air cutter cut down the bug Terra Teddiursa for my first gym badge. After finding the Grass Knot TM and teaching it to Astros, my Hisuian Voltorb, it was now time to go after the Stony Cliff Titan Cloth. After terastallizing Voltorb into a Terra Grass type, one Grass Knot scored a critical hit, taking more than 50% of the HP of Cloth, enabling for Voltorb to get the win with a second serving of Grass Knots. So far, this electric-only run has been cruising on Easy Street, and more good times are soon to follow as I headed into Artisan Town. While doing the gym test, playing hide-and-seek with Tenson Flora, the Dodgers evolved into Palmo, as I took on Grass-type gym leader Gracious, and it was a clean sweep for Cowboys, my pom-pom-style Oricorio, as 4 air cutters blew all of Gracious's Pokemon away for a relatively easy gym badge once again. A dominant performance that was so avant-garde, it almost caused Gracious to rip his hair out. The obedience level cap is now raised to level 30, and after Gracious gave me the TM for Trailblaze, it was time for me to go out and catch some more electric family members. My first important evolution of this run was when I was going in circles with Palmo, and after taking the 1,000 consecutive steps needed, I evolved my precious starter into a Palmot. But that's not all. I was able to find even more electric family members, starting with this Mareep. And then I found my favorite electric type of all time, Pikachu. And another one of my favorites, Shinx, thankfully with the Intimidate ability. I then headed to Levincia Town to find 4 more electric types, Rotom, Magnemite, Tadbulb, and a Wattrel. I then found a Leaf Stone in Tag Tree Thicket to evolve the Astros into Hisuian Electrode, before taking this huge leap of faith from the Sasato Desert Cliff to find a TM for Thunderbolt near Porto Marinata, along with the Assault Vest. And if that's not daring enough, I went to Casa Royal Lake severely underleveled and walked a very fine tightrope line to get the crucial TM for Thunder. With my obedience threshold level cap still at 30, I was able to make 5 more evolutions, starting with Pelicans into Kilowattrel, the Lions into Luxio, the Shy Sox evolved into Lantern, the Rams evolved into Flaffy, and the Yankees evolved into one of the most popular Unova Pokemon, Zebstrika. I then was able to find 2 more Thunderstones to evolve the Lakers into Raichu and the Celtics into Bellibolt. With my electric army building and growing, I decided it was time to go after some badges again, starting with the Team Star Dark Base. I unleashed the Dodgers, my fully evolved Palmot, on Giacomo's lead Poniard, building up its attack and defense twice with Bulk Up, taking 2 Aerial Aces while still recovering some HP with the held leftovers item. With Palmot taking less and less damage from the first 2 Aerial Aces, I had Palmot do bulk up a third time, and once it was finally time to strike, Palmot unloaded on Poniard with this quad-effective Brick Break. With Poniard gone, Giacomo called for the power of his second Starmobile, lowering the special defense of Palmot by 2 stages after I bulked up a 4th time, which was necessary for Palmot to guarantee victory with yet another Brick Break, one-shotting the revved-up Reverbroom, giving me my first victory over Team Star base and my 4th badge. My electric army was starting to become a destructive force as I next went after one of the most favorable matchups in this run against the Open Sky Titan Bombardier. I had the Lakers My Raichu dispose of that foul creature with a powerful Thunderbolt that one-shot Bombardier in both phases. Now with 5 badges in hand, it was time to take that next step by hopping on a plane, heading to the land of Kitakami, which unlocks even more opportunities found in the hidden treasure of Area Zero Part 1, the Teal Mask DLC. There were only 2 Pokemon found in Kitakami that I felt was vital for my success and survival in this electric-only run, with the first one being the Charjabug, which meshed in perfectly with the grass of Wistful Fields. And I also found the Violet-exclusive Morpeko. I then scoured all around Kitakami to get some useful TMs, none more important than in this cave for Earthquake. It was time to head back to Paldea and enter the Iono Zone. After stepping out of the Levincia gym a second time, after defeating Nemona in a warm-up match, I immediately became the newest surprise special guest in one of Iono's live streams. Since this is my 10th combined time playing Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I'm pretty much familiar with Iono's lingo by now. And this gives me an opportunity to thank each and every one of you who subscribe to my channel to make me reach another small but efficient milestone of 1,200 subscribers. And speaking of which, I had to help Iono reach more subscribers with this live stream by passing a certain gym test by finding the Mr. Walksabout being Director Clavel of Uva Academy. Let's see how well I do with this 3rd gym test of my Pokemon Violet electric-only run. Finding Mr. Walksabout the first time during this gym test is pretty simple enough, and here he is. After defeating a trainer with a Luxio, you then had to find Mr. Walksabout a second time, this time in a Pokemon Center near the Levincia gym. Once the second trainer with a Tynamo and a Flaaffy is beaten, you then have to find Mr. Walksabout a third time near the Levincia Battle Court. This final part of the test may not be pleasing on the eyes, but I was able to find Clavel anyway, sitting in a boat to complete the Levincia gym test. Thanks to my uncanny ability of battling and searching, the subscriber count went through the roof for Iono, and on the very next day, the Pokemon battle for my 3rd gym badge was finally ready to commence. It was lights, camera, and action time in Levincia Town, bringing in a buzzing crowd eagerly anticipating what was to come. I had to be promptly interviewed by Iono before we battled against each other with another interview question for this live stream, and I simply answered I was ready to do my best, considering this is an electric-type mirror match. After receiving a donation from the Electro King, it was finally battle time. Iono starts off with Wattrel, and I led with the Dodgers, my Palmot. I gained the early advantage by crushing Wattrel with a Rock Tomb, setting the stage for the next showdown by switching out Palmot in favor of Zebstrika to go up against Bellibolt. I had the Yankees lower this defense stat of Bellibolt by 2 stages with Screech, opening the door for Zebstrika to score the second KO of this battle with 2 consecutive bulldoze attacks. After its attack stat got lowered by Luxio's Intimidate, it only took 1 bulldoze after a Screech to take Luxio out. Now Iono is down to her final Pokemon, which is the Levitating Mismagius, my favorite ghost type. And once it terastallizes into Terry Electric, Mismagius gets rid of all its weaknesses. So my best bet in defeating Mismagius was to start with Lantern. Knowing that Mismagius is faster, I had Lantern hold a Persim Berry to get rid of the confusion that was going to happen the moment Mismagius decided to hit Lantern with a Confuse Ray. I then used Eerie Impulse to lower Mismagius' special attack stat by 2 stages. It went for Confuse Ray again, and with no way of getting rid of the confusion, somehow Lantern broke through and hit a Surf for some chip damage. Lantern broke through Confusion again and hit Eerie Impulse to lower Mismagius' special attack to a -4, allowing for a safe switch into Palmont. After barely taking anything from Hex, I had Palmont use Rock Tomb to lower Mismagius' speed. Mismagius retaliated with Confuse Ray, but Palmont also was holding a Persim Berry, ending the fight with a Brick Break. Iono's biggest fan had done it. She has conquered and defeated her favorite gym leader in all of the Paldea region. Iono was even impressed enough to acknowledge the fact that I was as flashy as a 10 million volt Thunderbolt in coming out victorious. And by virtue of earning my 3rd gym badge and 6th overall badge of this run, my obedience threshold level cap jumps up to 35, earning me the perfect screenshot opportunity with my favorite gym leader. And Iono also gave me a gift, this important TM for Volt Switch. After finishing off a successful live stream guest appearance with Iono, the next thing on my agenda was to get more badges. A very fortunate occurrence happened to me on my way to the Team Star Fire Base. While finishing up the Star Barrage, it started to rain, putting the Shutter Squad leader Mela up to proverbial creek as she brought out her Torkoal to go up against my Lantern. And thanks to it already raining, it immediately shut down Torkoal's drought ability, before the Fire Turtle instantly got washed away by a rain-boosted Surf from Shy Socks. I had Rain Dance as one of Lantern's 4 moves, and gave it the held item Damp Rock, which extends rain turns from 5 to 8. But since it was already raining, thanks to how the game was set up at that time, I didn't need to execute that tactic. A rain and Terra-boosted Surf struck the Shutter Starmobile for some big damage after Lantern got its defense lowered by 2 stages. Then the Starmobile struck for a Blazing Torque, which did minimal damage, but still caused a burn. But that didn't stop Lantern from giving the Starmobile another washing before it was sent to the junkyard for my 7th badge. Then upon arrival at Cascarapa Town, the gym leader Kofu ran out of the gym in a huff without his wallet, trying to get some exclusive seaweed from the Hoenn region over at the Porto Marinada auction house. After zapping Kofu's trainer's 2 Pokemon into the middle of next week, I entered the auction for Kofu after giving him his wallet back, winning the auction, and Kofu got the seaweed. But I was also there to win another auction to gain the Rotom catalog. 2 members of my electric army reached level 30, allowing 4 Chargers to evolve into Magneton and the Padres to evolve into Electabuzz. Even though I passed the Cascarapa gym test, I did not challenge Kofu right away, as I now took aim at the lurking Steel Titan Orifworm, putting the Rotom catalog to good use, turning Rotom into a microwave oven, becoming Rotom Heat. The first overheat scorched the worm and set up the 2nd phase of the bout. And even though the rain was falling down, a 2nd overheat was still powerful enough to burn the worm into a crisp, earning me my 8th badge. After taking down the 3rd Titan, the Chargers also reached level 30, evolving to Luxray, as I went back to Kaskaroffa Town to go after my 4th gym badge, going up against Kofu, a master of water types. Since the weather was clear, I came up with a plan when I started out with Lantern to go up against Kofu's Veluza. You may find it odd that I decided to use Rain Dance on the first turn after taking a slash. The rain slightly boosted Veluza's resistant Aqua Cutter, but Lantern's Volt Switch cut down half of Veluza's health before the rest of it got struck down by a now 100% accurate Thunder from Kilowattrel. Victory was all but secured after a second serving of Thunder from the Pelicans annihilated Kofu's second Pokemon Lug Trio, but I had some unfinished business to attend to. In my Pokemon Scarlet Ghost Only run, Kofu's Ace Water Tera Crabominable one-shot and destroyed Rotom with a Crab Hammer, so I wanted to give the now Rotom Mo its opportunity at revenge. The moment Kofu terrestrialized his Crabominable, a pure fighting and ice type from the Alola region, it was moment of truth time for Rotom. Just like my Scarlet Ghost Only run, I had Rotom go for the KO with a terrestrialized Electro Ball. History was doomed to repeat itself when it took Crabominable into the red, but Crabominable went for Slam? And it even got a critical hit. Rotom took it like a champion and got its well-deserved retribution with a second Electro Ball, ending the fight. Rotom got its long overdue vindication, earning me my 4th gym badge and 9th badge overall in my Pokemon Violet Electric Only run, also raising the obedience threshold level cap to 40. After receiving the Chilling Water TM, I was able to get 4 final stage evolutions, evolving the Rams into Ampharos and getting 2 Thunderstones to evolve the Chargers into Magnezone and the Jets into Vikavolt. And I also put in the Padres into Pokemon Legend Arceus, gave it an Electrizer to have my Electivire. Before challenging for my 10th badge, I decided to head up to Alfrenada Town to get a very important item, the Light Clay. And then I backtracked to Los Platos to get the TM for Playrough to teach my fully evolved Luxray. Medali Town was my next destination as I went up against everyone's favorite everyday man, the normal type gym leader Larry. And I decided to use that same tried and true bulk up strategy with Palmot that I also used in my Pokemon Violet Shiny Badge quest. I only used 2 bulk ups this time considering Komala used Yawn on the first turn. And after taking a slam on the second turn, the Dodgers woke up instantly thanks to holding a Chesto Berry. A couple of +2 Brick Breaks was quick to destroy both Komala and the Dunsparce. I had the Dodgers use a 3rd bulk up once its attack got lowered a stage by the Intimidate ability of Larry's Normal Terra A-Star Raptor. A double stab Normal Terra boosted Facade still did decent damage before one final Brick Break from the Dodgers secured the victory, earning me my 5th gym badge, raising the obedience threshold level cap to 45. Now it was back to Tag Tree Thicket for one of the most difficult battles in the middle portion of the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet base game. A duel with the venomous leader of the Team Star Navi squad, Atticus. As you probably know by now, if you have a good Steel type, you won't have to worry about Atticus's dirty deeds, because Steel is immune to poison. However, 2 of Atticus's Pokemon have ground attacks that are super effective against Steel types, and quad effective against a Pokemon I decided to lead with, Magnezone. As you also know, there's a fatal flaw in Atticus's team, and that is his lead Pokemon Skuntank only has 5 Sucker Punch power points, and I was able to stall them all by using Screech 5 times, eventually 3 of them lowering the defense of Skuntank to a full -6. Once Skuntank was out of Sucker Punches, I had Magnezone set up a Reflect, which will last 8 turns due to the held Light Clay, and 2 gyro balls was enough to put Skuntank down. The reason why I set up a Reflect in the first place was for Atticus' second Pokemon, Revavroom, which has the super effective Bulldoze. Another reason why I terrestrialized the Chargers to get rid of one of the weaknesses to ground being electric. I called for Magnezone to use a terrestrialized Gyro Ball in retaliation, but it did pathetic damage. After taking a second Bulldoze from the regular Revavroom, which would have been 4 times effective if I didn't terrestrialize Magnezone, I had Magnezone use Screech to lower the defense of Revavroom by 2, before subbing out the Chargers in favor of the Padres, my newly evolved Electivire. And what sets Electivire apart the most from other electric types is it can learn the TM for Earthquake. One quad-effective shakeup brought down Revavroom, forcing Atticus to call upon his third Pokemon, Muck, who fared no different. Even though Revavroom's Bulldoze caused a speed drop on Electivire, it was still faster than Muck, who also went down to a single Earthquake. One Reflect turn was left when the Navi Starmobile struck Electivire with Noxious Torque, before the Padres used Screech to soften up that soon-to-be hunk of junk. I brought the still terrestrialized Magnezone back into action to use Screech at least 2 more times to soften up the Starmobile even more. The first Screech brought down the Starmobile's defense to a -4. After missing a second Screech while absorbing a super effective Flame Charge, I was able to connect for another Screech, and now the Starmobile's defense was completely lowered. Now that the Starmobile's defense is at a -6, I had Magnezone set up one more Reflect before taking a Flame Charge that was nerfed by the Reflect and the Rain. The Chargers did its job perfectly, allowing for me to bring back in the Padres to finish off that Starmobile with one final Earthquake that hit a perfect 10 on the Richter scale. Sound strategy provided me my 11th badge after sending the third Team Starmobile into the scrap heap. It's time to keep this momentum building. Going for my 12th badge, I went up against the MIC of RIP, Ghost Gym Leader Rhyme and Montenevera, giving me the chance to showcase Raiders the Morpeko and Lions the Luxray in this double battle. Knowing that Rhymes leads Banette and Mimikyu are physical attackers, I had Luxray intimidate both of them, lowering their attack stats, while also terrestrializing Morpeko. Banette struck Luxray with a priority Sucker Punch, while I had Morpeko use Crunch on its fellow Pika clone, not only busting Mimikyu's disguise, but it also lowered Mimikyu's defense. Mimikyu then hit Morpeko with a Slash, and even though the incoming bite from Luxray did not KO Banette on the first turn, it did drive Banette's health bar deep into the red, and the first gimmick of the gym was set thanks to terrestrializing Morpeko, as both the Raiders and the Lions got an Omni boost for all 5 of their stats. Now with both of my Pokemon slightly supercharged, Rhyme did not stand a ghost of a chance. The second turn begun the same way the first turn did, except Mimikyu never got a chance to defend itself after being taken out by a +1 Crunch from Morpeko. Luxray dealt with Banette, and now Rhyme was down to her last 2 Pokemon, being Houndstone and her ace, the Electric Poison type from the Galar region, Toxtricity, who will eventually terrestrialize into a Ghost type. And by virtue of KOing both Banette and Mimikyu on the previous turn, my Luxray and Morpeko both got another boost thanks to this gym's gimmick, as they're now at a +2 in both their attack stats. And all my duo had to do was sink their teeth into Houndstone and Toxtricity for the victory. Luxray and Morpeko proved they can get it done in crunch time, and my obedience level cap has now reached 50. It's now full speed ahead for my electric army now, as I next targeted the Violet exclusive Quaking Earth Titan Iron Shreds. I used the Rotom catalog again to turn Rotom into a washing machine and give it the held item Wide Lens to further increase the accuracy of the powerful water special attack Hydro Pump. And 3 Hydro Pumps was enough to wash away and wipe out the futuristic Donphan for my 13th badge. I then went up Glaciato Mountain to pick up a modest mint to feed Jets to Vikavolt, considering I was next headed to Alfrenader Town to square off against Psychic Gym Leader Tulip for my 7th gym badge. Which gives me a little time to talk about Morpeko, who has the ability Hunger Switch, which switches modes every time Morpeko does an attack. It starts in full belly mode, and after striking an opponent with an attack, it switches into hangry mode, and vice versa. After winning a crunch battle, Morpeko was now about to face off with Gardevoir. Knowing that a Dazzling Gleam was in Morpeko's future, I had the hamster pivot out with Volt Switch to bring in Magnezone, who still took significant damage despite resisting the Fairy-type move. The only thing that could go wrong is if one of Gardevoir's 2 Psychic attacks landed a crit while Magnezone set up a light screen. A second Psychic brought Magnezone down to 15 HP before a second Gyro Ball connected on Gardevoir. I brought Morpeko back in to dodge the next Psychic attack due to Dark-type immunity. And after Morpeko switched to Hangry mode, one more Volt Switch finally put Gardevoir down for the count. The Volt Switch proved timely as I brought in Jets to Vikavolt, holding an Assault Vest, to go up against Tulip's 3rd Pokemon, Espathra. With the light screen still up, Vikavolt confidently took a Psychic from Espathra, before blasting that stupid ostrich to smithereens with a Bug Buzz. The final matchup for this gym battle would normally be a mismatch for Morpeko, considering Florges is a Fairy type from the Kalos region. But the advantage now shifts in favor of Morpeko due to the power of Gen 9 Terrestrialization privilege. It was once again crunch time, and now that Florges terrestrialized into a Psychic type, that large flower became just another victim of the Galar region representative, as Morpeko proved that big things can come in small packages. My electric army was charging up, and the obedience level cap now reaches 55. It's onward back to Glaciato Mountain to go after my 15th badge. It was time for the stretch run, so I went back up to Alfrenader to add 2 more members to my electric army, being Tynamo and the amped form of Toxtricity. And after buying another Thunderstone in the Mesagoza Delibird presence, I evolved the Diamondbacks all the way to Electros. Now it was back to the Glaciato Gym to take on Ice-type Gym Leader Grusha in hopes of getting my 8th badge, as he brought out his Frostmoth to get absolutely destroyed by the Dodgers Rock Tomb, which was quite effective in preventing Frostmoth from setting up Tailwind and forcing Grusha to bring in Beartic. I brought out Rotom Heat to dodge the Earthquake that was meant for Palmont, and after taking a priority Aqua Jet, Rotom torches the Polar Bear with Overheat. I brought Palmont back into the fray to deal with Satitan. Palmont delivered with a Brick Break that took Satitan deep into the red before eating a powerful Ice Spinner. I switched up the attacks to close combat to finally put down Satitan, setting the stage for the final showdown. Considering Magnezone resists all 4 of Altaria's moves, it made it a wise choice to bring in the Gen 1 powerhouse that gained the Steel typing in Generation 2. Now terrestrialized into an Ice type, Altaria takes super effective damage from Magnezone's first Flash Cannon, before striking back with a critical hit resistant Dragon Pulse. Magnezone responded in time with a second Flash Cannon to Altaria's Dome Piece, scoring the KO and my 8th gym badge. And now that I have defeated all 8 Paldea gym leaders, the obedience threshold level cap maxes out at level 100. But as per the rules for my Monotype run, I am going to freeze it at level 75 as I have officially qualified for the Pokemon League. But before we even get there, there's still 3 more badges to claim, starting with the Team Star Fairy Base. I had Toxtricity, nicknamed after the NBA's Detroit Pistons, go into complete overdrive, making short work of the first 3 Pokemon brought out by the Team Star Ruckbus Squad leader Ortega. Azumarill, Wigglytuff, and Dachsbun were quickly disposed of, but Toxtricity did run into trouble when it got stung by a critical hit Steel Roller from the Ruckbus Starmobile. After taking back-to-back resistant magical torques, One flash cannon from Magnezone powered up by Toxtricity's acid spray was more than enough to secure the victory and my 16th badge. Then near the base, I went ahead and got one final team member to my electric army. No, Pincurchin, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the electric fairy type from the Kalos region, the Dene. Next on my agenda was the false dragon titan Dondozo. I started the second phase of this bout with an assault vest holding Jets the Vikavolt, which has a dynamic base power of 145 in its special attack stat, which shows exactly how powerful this Thunderbolt was in wiping out Dondozo. Once this whale-like catfish sunk into the abyss of Casseroy Lake, the real Dragon Titan Tetsugiri came out in hopes of avenging its best friend, before it got smacked around by a couple of dazzling gleams from Mets the Dedenne. The final badge to collect was in the hands of Team Star Fighting Master Aerie. It took some switching around, but after her first two Pokemon went down, the rain was set up for Kilowattrel, or should I say, Killer Wattrel. As you saw earlier in the gym battle with Kofu, Thunder is 100% accurate in the rain, but so is this flying type move with a base power of 110, Hurricane. Both Annihilate and Lucario were swept in the storm, and the Cap Starmobile, despite getting a couple of good hits on Kilowattrel, proved to be no match, as I was able to claim my 18th and final badge in this Pokemon Violet Electric-only run. While making final preparations to finish the three main stories of Pokemon Violet, I went back to Kitakami to close out the Teal Mask storyline, catching the legendary Ogerpon in a heavy ball. After winning one final battle with Carmine from the Blueberry Academy, it was time to say goodbye to the land of Kitakami. I was heading back to my home region of Paldea, leveling up all my Electric Army members to 65, then made my decision on where I wanted to start first, and that decision was a no-brainer. I made the choice to immediately head to the Pokemon League and challenge the Elite Four, and there is a very good, logical explanation as to why I decided to do this for the first time ever in any of the Scarlet or Violet playthroughs I have done. You see, after I'm done talking with top champion Gita, the second I enter that front door to take the champion assessment and eventually the elite test, I have to come with the hard grips of reality that I must stand face to face with this woman. After passing the champion assessment test with ease, I now must enter the elite test room and face my fears, being the first member of the Elite Four, Rika. For those of you who are well versed in Pokemon 101, Electric's only weakness is to ground, and Rika is a master of ground-type Pokemon. So the only way I was going to have a chance, I had to rely on strategy to be victorious. Instead of relying on just 6 Pokemon like I did in my Violet Shiny Badge Quest and Scarlet Ghost only run, I went with an all-hands-on-deck approach since you are able to switch around Pokemon during the Elite Four. My first Pokemon for this bout was Astros the Hisuian Electrode, who absolutely obliterated Rika's lead Wishcash with a quad-effective Chloroblast, which also consumed half of Electro's energy due to recoil damage. It was a tactical setup to bait Rika into throwing out Camerupt second. That way I can counter with Lantern. I now have the upper hand as 2 of Rika's Pokemon went down in a flash after a quad-effective Surf from Lantern took Camerupt down. However, things took a nasty turn when Rika brought out Donphan next. I wanted to keep the air balloon on Lantern intact, so I pivoted out with Flip Turn to bring Hisuian Electrode back in, breaking Donphan sturdy in the process. However, this move backfired when Stone Edge landed a crit, and down goes Hisuian Electrode. Still, I was able to maintain my composure as I brought in Diamondback's the Electros for the first time, striking first with Liquidation. Thankfully, Donphan's second Stone Edge didn't land a critical hit, and Electros was able to regain health while sapping away the rest of Donphan's HP with Giga Drain. I made another substitution and brought in Chiefs the Rotom, now a Lawnmower, to square off against Rika's Dugtrio. After taking a Rock Slide, which thankfully didn't land a flinch, a powerful Leaf Storm one-shot Dugtrio. Since the air balloon was still on Lantern, I decided to bring Shy Socks back in to go up against Rika's final Pokemon, Ground Terror Clodsire. Water moves won't hit this Clodsire because it has the Water Absorb ability. However, I still had another move that Lantern hadn't used yet when I got this TM from Kitakami, Ice Beam. Clodsire's ensuing Liquidation finally popped the air balloon even though it did resistant damage to Lantern. And since I know Rika loves to protect Stall with Clodsire, I made one final substitution, bringing the Chiefs back in for the final KO with another powerful Leaf Storm, securing me my first victory in the Elite Four and clearing without question my biggest hurdle so far in this entire run. Next one up for the Elite Four was Poppy, the youthful lover of Steel types. I decided to start this bout with the Padres by Electivire against her Copperajah. I immediately went on the aggressive with Earthquake, scoring a critical hit and putting down the Ironclad Elephant. Getting Copperajah out of the way was important considering it had the ground move High Horsepower. Poppy's only other Pokemon with a ground type move is the Steel Psychic type Bronzong, which threatens Electivire with Earthquake. I countered with the Levitating Electros, and 2 crunches was able to take out that bulky Bell. I kept the Diamondbacks in to break Magnezone's Sturdy and shatter the light screen it set up with a super effective Brick Break. After taking the Tri-Attack, which thankfully didn't land a status condition, a quad-effective Bulldoze got rid of Magnezone. I kept applying the pressure on Poppy by bringing in Lion's the Luxray to do combat against her Corviknight. Luxray struck first by sinking its teeth into the Steely Bird with a Thunderfang. Corviknight tried to shorten the damage by using Iron Defense to boost its defense by 2 stages, but that was not enough to save Corviknight from going down to a second Thunderfang. Chiefs the Rotom made a second appearance in the Elite Four against a second Elite Four member, now as Rotom Heat, to square off against Poppy's last bastion of hope, being my favorite Steel type, Tinkaton. I gave Poppy the common courtesy of terastallizing her precious Tinkaton, but that was the only Christmas present she was going to get from me because this Overheat was a complete overkill. That's 2 Elite Four members defeated, and now it was time for a rematch with a certain Elite Four member that is everyone's favorite gym leader as well. It was once again time to battle Larry, who now switches from his normal type persona into being a flying type Elite Four leader, which instantly gave me the advantage as I brought out the Pokemon I swept Larry's normal team with, the Dodgers my Palmot, who immediately struck for a quad-effective Ice Punch to put down Tropheus. And his second Pokemon, Altaria, suffered the exact same fate. A familiar foe was lurking on the horizon in Staraptor, so I decided to counter with Magnezone. The substitution almost proved to be a mistake when Staraptor struck with a powerful close combat. However, Staraptor lowered both of its defenses by hitting the move, which made it a sitting duck for Magnezone's powerful Thunderbolts. In preparation for Larry's ace, I brought in Ampharos to set up a Reflect, which will last 8 turns due to the Light Clay held item, as the Rams took not 1, but 2 resistant Revelation Dances from Larry's electric form Oricorio. Ampharos finally attacked with a Power Gem that brought Oricorio down to the limits of its health. Oricorio then used Teeter Dance to confuse Ampharos, but the Rams broke through like they did to win the Super Bowl back in 2021, striking with another Power Gem to take Oricorio out. The last one standing for Larry now is his ace Pokemon Flamigo. I brought in Luxray for the Intimidate factor, which got instantly negated by Flamigo's Scrappy ability. And once Larry terrestrialized Flamigo, a fighting flying type, into a pure flying type, I braced myself for what was to come next, considering Flamigo's attack stat has a base power of over 100. The Lion's Thunderfang connected, but didn't cause a paralysis, allowing for Flamigo to hit with close combat, at the risk of its own defenses being lowered, and Luxray took it comfortably, better than I thought Luxray would, with the Reflect being up. I decided to terrestrialize Luxray for the finishing blow. And as Flamigo took the fall from Luxray's second Thunderfang, it was time to move on from Larry and enter my next biggest threat in the Elite Four Gauntlet. A battle with Grandpa Hassel, the master of dragon types. Even though none of Hassel's dragons has a super effective ground attack, they are still extremely dangerous, starting with his first Pokemon being Noivern. Noivern has the Super Fang attack that will cut off half of the HP of any Pokemon I decided to bring out first, which ended up being Rotom Freeze, now a refrigerator thanks to the Rotom catalog. As predicted, Noivern went for the Super Fang, but it missed. And unfortunately for Noivern, the Blizzard from Rotom Freeze didn't miss. Knowing that Haxorus was going to be the second Pokemon Hassel would bring out with the Rock Tomb, I kept Rotom Freeze in anyway to burn Haxorus and shorten the damage done by Rock Tomb with a Will-O-Wisp. I subbed out Rotom and brought in Luxray for an Intimidate to further weaken the strong attack stat of Haxorus. After taking both a Rock Tomb and the Dragon Claw, Luxray retaliated with a powerful super effective Play Rough that took Haxorus deep into the red, leaving it with just 1 HP before being picked off by the burn from Rotom's Will-O-Wisp. I kept Luxray in to fiercely attack Dragalge with an Ice Fang, which unbelievably got the freeze, making Dragalge easy prey for Luxray, who delivered another Ice Fang for a completely free KO. Hassel was forced to call upon Flapple next as I brought out Jets to Vikavolt. Even though Vikavolt is slow, Flapple is slower, making this KO for Vikavolt completely free with Bug Buzz. It all comes down to this. I brought Luxray back into action for an Intimidate on Haxel's most powerful Pokemon, being the Gen 9 pseudo-legendary Baxcalibur, a Dragon and Ice type. Once it terrestrializes into Terra Dragon, it's going to provide extra power for Baxcalibur's signature move, Glaive Rush. I had Volt Switch prepared, but I underestimated Baxcalibur's speed. However, Luxray stood its ground, absorbed the blow, and lives to see another day. After Volt Switching out, I brought in Dedenne, so the only move Baxcalibur has in its move pool that can hurt Dedenne the most is Icicle Crash. Unfortunately, I also underestimated that Dedenne was faster, but thankfully the meds proved me wrong by defeating Baxcalibur with the blinding lights from Dazzling Gleam. My Electric Army and I have conquered the Elite Four Challenge, earning me the opportunity to battle top champion Gita for the right to become the newest champion of the Paldea region from the Uva Academy. I even managed to impress Rika. Time was drawing near for my Electric Army, and I brought these 6 Pokemon that I felt was best equipped to make Iono's biggest fan Paldea's newest champion. My first Pokemon will be Lions the Luxray holding a King's Rock. I also brought in Chargers the Magnezone holding a Metal Coat. Pelicans the Kilowattrel holding a Sharp Beak. The Dodgers my beloved Palmot holding a Life Orb. Padres the Electivire holding a Wide Lens. and jets the Vikavolt holding a choice scarf. Just getting through the Elite Four with only one casualty is a victory within itself. But I was not satisfied. Neither were all the Pokemon that came to war with me through this journey. It was either win or go home against top champion Gita. She wants to see the true measure of my talent, and by golly, she's going to get it. The first Pokemon Gita always starts her battles off with is this Espathra. I had to know if Luxray was tough enough even after taking that Glaive Rush from Hassel's Excalibur. And speaking of Hassel, I think he may have tipped Gita off because Espathra is faster and was able to set up a Reflect right after Luxray intimidated Espathra. My only option is to stay on the aggressive, as Luxray took a bite out of Espathra's HP with Crunch. Espathra counters with its signature move Lumina Crash, a powerful psychic special attack that lowers the special defense of the target by 2 stages. Luxray somehow withstood 2 Lumina Crashes before putting Espathra down for good with a 3rd and final Crunch. Avalugg was next, threatening Luxray with Earthquake, so I oddly brought out a Pokemon that is quad weak to ground in Chargers the Magnezone. However, this time I knew Magnezone had the speed advantage, and considering Avalugg has notoriously bad special defense, it made for one easy one-hit KO, courtesy of Magnezone's Flash Cannon. I caught this Magnezone as a Magnemite with the Sturdy ability, so it was going to withstand at least one Earthquake even if it crit. As Gita brought out Veluza, it made it simple for me to bring in Jets the Vikavolt, who fried that ugly fish with a Thunderbolt. Gita summoned in King Gambit 4th, making it the perfect time for me to bring out Padres, my Electivire, which I hatched as an Elekid with the egg move Hammer Arm, a fighting move that's at base 100 power but is 90% accurate, which is why I gave Electivire the wide lens in the first place. After King Gambit got smashed with a quad effective blow, I subbed out Electivire and brought out an electric type that I hadn't used throughout the entire Elite Four run, being the Pelicans my Kilowattrel, who immediately got rid of Go-Goat with 2 air slashes after taking a play rough. Now it was time for the Pokemon that started it all for me to be the Pokemon that finished the job, as Gita brought out her ace Pokemon, Rock Terra Glamora. Once Gita terrestrialized her ace, I made the call for Palmot to deliver a Life Orb boosted close combat. Not only did the Dodgers come through in the clutch, delivering a decisive one-hit knockout of Glamora, it even got the added bonus of the hit being critical, convincingly rewarding Iono's biggest fan with a brand new title of Paldea Region Champion. Still, there are more important battles left in this run, and I aim to conquer every single one. No looking back for me and my Electric Army now, as we aim to march forward and finish all 3 Pokemon Violet storylines. After becoming champion, I decided to take on Arven first to finish the Path of Legend storyline, as my Electric Army breezed through the competition before Dedenne got the final word in with a parabolic charge to put down Arven's revitalized Mabostiff. I hurriedly made my way over to the Mezagoza Central Plaza Battle Court for a battle of champions with my neighbor Nemona. In order for me to maintain my undefeated streak against Nemona, I brought along with me the same 6 Pokemon that I used to defeat top champion Gita at the pinnacle of the Pokemon League. Nemona was able to get some solid hits in on my team, but we remained focused, undaunted, undeterred, and unbroken, standing firm in our beliefs in order for us to prove once and for all that the electric type is one of the most premier typings in all of Pokemon. And once I terrestrialized my choice scarf-holding Padres the Electivire, not even Nemona's powerful starter Quackable was going to stand in my way of proving to her that I am the ultimate champion of the Paldea region and the strongest trainer in the Uva Academy by compliments of a critical hit Thunder Punch from Electivire that dropped Quackable, giving me the win and finishing the Victory Road storyline. And since I finished Victory Road before Starfall Street, the second I leave through the Academy entrance hall door, it automatically triggers the fight with Director Clavel. Even though Clavel fields a strong array of Pokemon on his team, my Electric Army once again proved that they are that much stronger, as the combination of Morpeko, Bellibolt, and Rotom Heat took down Clavel's first 5 Pokemon with surgeon-like precision. A double dose of Earthquake from Electivire brought down the mighty Skeledirge, and now it was time for me and my Electric Army to take on Penny and her team of 6 Evolutions. After Vikavolt took out Umbreon, I had Lantern set up a rain dance while going up against Flareon. And once Lantern eliminated Flareon from the equation, Kilowattrel came in and cleaned house against Penny's next 2 Evolutions, Leafeon and Vaporeon. Electivire shook up Jolteon, and Penny was down to her ace, Fairy Terra Sylveon remaining. To emphatically put an abrupt end to Operation Starfall, I called upon the Pokemon that was one of my unsung heroes against Team Star Poison leader Atticus, Chargers the Magnezone, terrestrializing into a pure Steel type and softening up Sylveon's special defense with Metal Sound. Magnezone completely walls my favorite evolution, before taking Sylveon out with a double-stab, Terra-boosted firing of Flash Cannon. My indomitable Electric Army and I have officially completed all 3 major storylines of Pokemon Violet, and now it was that time for us to take one final step towards greatness. Now it was time for me and my Electric Army to prove to all of the Paldea region one last time that they stand alone among all of the types in Pokemon, as I assist Arven and Miraidon as they took me on a ride that was anything but joyful on the way home to Area 0. It was a bumpy ride, to say the least, as I was able to conquer every single battle along the way, only losing 1 Pokemon. And as Nemona, Arven, Penny, and I made our way to the 4th research area station, I was greeted out of the corner of my left eye a stunning surprise. It just so happened to be a shiny Girafarig. Unfortunately, it's not an electric type, but I still managed to catch it anyway in a quick ball. Finally reaching the deepest depths of Area 0, it was finally time for the final showdown with the final boss, Professor AI Toro, and his ferocious array of future Paradox Pokemon, 2 in particular that are devastating to my electric types, Iron Thorns with Earthquake, and Iron Valiant, who is simply outstanding. My Electric Army has made it this far, and nothing was going to stop us now. Toro's first Pokemon is the Fire Poison type Iron Moth, and I elected to begin with Electivire, considering it still has Earthquake in its move pool. I also made sure Electivire was holding a Choice Scarf, considering Iron Moth is faster than Electivire. The reason why Electivire was so important in this bout was because I kept Earthquake in its move pool specifically for this battle alone. Iron Moth is 4 times weak to any ground attacks, making it for an easy KO to start off this fight. Iron Thorns came out second, considering it has its own Earthquake, but it's also quad weak to ground, and Electivire, thanks to holding a Choice Scarf, beat Iron Thorns to the punch. My strongest post-game Pokemon during this run has been Luxray, as I summoned her in to do combat against Iron Jugulis. After taking a Dark Pulse, Luxray struck with a Thunder Fang that scored a critical hit. And even before AI Turo can comprehend what's happening, he's already down 3 Pokemon. A golden strategic opportunity came spinning around in my head as I kept Luxray in to go up against the powerful Iron Hands. Looking up the Cerebi website, one of 4 moves on Turo's Iron Hands is Fake Out, so I pulled the bait and switch of a lifetime by subbing out Luxray and bringing in Raichu to take the hit. Iron Hands went for the Fake Out, and that's when opportunity struck. Using a savage trick first done by one of my all-time favorite YouTube Pokemon hardcore Nuzlockers, Antler Boy, I neutered Iron Hands for the remainder of the competition, making him a non-factor by locking him into Fake Out with Encore, then lowering his attack 3 times with Charm all the way down to a full -6, always keeping track of when the Encore ends, only to use Encore again to keep Iron Hands locked into using a move that can't even hit Raichu. I used Charm one last time, knowing that the Encore turns of Iron Hands was about to end. But the torture was far from over as I used Encore again. I also had Raichu hold a Light Clay to set up a Reflect for 8 turns, making a safe switch for the final substitution of this bout, bringing in Pistons, my amped up form of Toxtricity. Not even AI Turo was going to handle what was in store for not only Iron Hands, but also for his remaining 2 Pokemon in the back. For as long as the Reflect turns were still up, I was going to have Toxtricity use Shift Gear to boost its speed by 2 stages and its attack step by 1 each time it was used. Iron Hand's other 3 moves are Drain Punch, which Toxtricity resists due to being a poison typing, Thunder Punch, which Toxtricity also resists due to being an electric type, and Iron Head, a move that Turo inexplicably didn't call for. We have come to the checkmate point of this bout. As I was done setting up, Toxtricity is now at a +6 in speed and a +5 in attack once it struck Iron Hands with a Poison Jab, which miraculously didn't knock out the bulky Iron Hands, but it did get the poison. Iron Bundle stood no shot, as Toxtricity wiped out the Delibird knockoff with a +5 Thunder Punch. Now all that remains is the powerful Paradox Pokemon that combines the secondary typings of Gallade and Gardevoir to create this malicious monster known as the Iron Valiant. At this point, it doesn't matter that Iron Valiant is holding a booster energy to activate his Quark Drive and get a 30% attack increase. Toxtricity is faster and is going to strike first and last. It is all over. My electric army and I have put an end to the tyrannic ways of AI Professor Turo, saving the Paldea region in the process, as this marks the end of my Pokemon Violet electric-only run. Well, not quite. The final distinction belongs to Miraidon, as it was able to pull out a miraculous comeback win of its own to take down its bully brother, who I'll probably eventually catch in the postgame in the Master Ball once I get that after we see the end credits, which of course is not in this video. Now I can say that this is the end of the Pokemon Violet electric-only run, as down goes the Paradise Protection Protocol. With the Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet 2-year anniversary of both games being released happening this month, November 2024, I wanted to show to all of my subscribers both sides of the coin by doing a Monotype run in each version of the game. And I'm happy to say that I've been able to accomplish that feat. To all of you, I sincerely thank you from the bottom of my heart who decided to take this time viewing this run from the beginning to the end. If you love content like this, be sure to leave a like. And if you are a newcomer to my channel, be sure to click on that subscribe button, because every subscription tells me that I am doing something right and will inspire me to want to make even more gaming content. I also want to send out a special thank you to YouTube Pokemon gaming streamer Eevee Queen for allowing me to nickname Jolteon after her. She's a great streamer and an even better person. Be sure to check out her channel, give her a like and sub to her as well, as she too richly deserves it. As I mentioned before, Pikachu is my favorite electric type, but I gained a newfound respect doing this awesome run for the likes of Magnezone, Electivire, Vikavolt, Luxray, and Toxtricity. Let me know who your favorite electric type is in the comment section below if you wish. And as always, take care, God bless you all, and keep on shining.